Hello and welcome to another video. So today I'm going to be discussing what I'm doing in terms of my training at the moment. The phase that I've gone into now is hypertrophy. So my goal is to try and build a lot more muscle mass, try and gain a bit more size, especially on my upper body. So working a lot for the upper chest, the back and the arms especially. And it took me a while to decide how I wanted to do this and trying to find as much research as I could to make sure that each workout was planned so specifically and almost perfectly that I was getting the most out of each session. I didn't want to waste time in the gym. I didn't want to feel like I wasn't getting anything out of it. So it took me a little bit of time, and I've come up with a program which I believe is going to be most efficient and effective for me. So what I took into account when I was deciding how I wanted to develop my program for this hypertrophy phase is one of the key things I was looking at was EMG data, which basically this sort of data tests how much a certain muscle is activated during an exercise. So for example, if I wanted to train the biceps, then two of the best exercises for biceps in terms of EMG data and electrical impulses caused by an exercise was the incline dumbbell curl and the concentration curl. And the reason I chose these two exercises as well is because obviously the bicep is made up of two sections. You've got the short head and the long head. And the incline dumbbell curl helps target the long head because you extend past and you get that full extension. And the reason I chose concentration curl is because obviously it targets the other side, so it targets the short head, especially if you, as you curl your pinky, you want it to try and curl outwards, and the way you grip your barbell would be slightly different as well, just to make sure you get that focus. So that was one of the key things I decided on how I wanted to develop my program. That way I felt like every single exercise was hitting exactly what I wanted it to do, and each muscle area that I felt I needed to hit was being worked throughout the entire week. So another key area that I felt I really wanted to get spot on with this program was how hard I was training in each session. Because obviously, if you're training 100% at intensity every single session, then eventually you're going to hit a brick wall. You're going to not be able to complete it. Each week it's going to get slowly worse, and you're not actually going to be progressively overloading because you're not actually able to complete the sets that you're on. So something I was looking into was developing a session intensity based on your relative intensity. Now I'll go into more details about this. There's a lot of very specific details in my program which I feel like need almost an entire video to describe and explain how it works. But basically each week my session intensity increases. So week 1, I think I got it here, I started at 85%. And then increased to 90, then to 95, and then week 4 I'm allowing for a deload week, so I'll go all the way back down to 80%, so that on week 5, which is when this short program finishes, on week 5 I'm going to try and hit some 1 rep maxes, and I'm going to be working at 100% intensity to try and really force myself into that hypertrophy phase and really see how much I've progressed over those short 5 weeks. So that's something that I really want to go into more detail in another video, and I'm sure I will in the future. But that's just something you need to consider is when you're planning your programs, is how hard are you actually going to be working in each session. You can't work 100% every single session. You can't go to failure on every single set every single day. That's not going to be possible to maintain, and actually you're probably just going to cause yourself injury in the long run. So definitely try and get that down to a T so that you can understand your body and understand how hard you should be working each session. Now for me as well, something else I'm getting into a little bit more is plyometrics. So this is something I want to include a lot more in my program as I go on, because it's more related to my field, and it's definitely something I want to try and use to get better at football. If you don't know, plyometrics are a very useful tool, very useful exercises to help increase your sport-related fitness. So for example, your speed, your jump height, your agility, things like that. That's what plyometrics does. So it's something that I include on leg day. I tend to do it as like a warm-up for now, just because my main focus is obviously the hypertrophy. I'm trying to hit like a certain amount in each set, so I just use it as a warm-up, almost like a flexibility and a dynamic warm-up thing, so that I'm prepared for my big squats and my heavy lifts. but it's something that I will include, and especially as I go from hypertrophy to a strength phase, and then finally when I go from that strength phase to that power phase, that's where the plyometrics comes in a lot more, and I'll be hopefully seeing a lot more improvements in the technique that I have currently with the plyometrics. It's definitely a great way to improve your sport related fitness. If that's what your goal is, it can be used for literally any sport, any sport that plyometrics will be able to help increase your performance. So definitely check that out. And again, a future video will go into more detail on this, but for now we're just trying to focus on what I'm doing specifically at the moment and try and give you guys a little bit of knowledge around what it is that I'm trying to do for myself. So yeah, let's go into the actual program that I have. I'll show you, how I've created it, and maybe show you a little bit more detail of how I've done this. So here we have my training program. This is the program that I use to create training programs for me, for anyone that I'm working with at the moment. It's super quick, super efficient, and it's taken a long time to get this all together. But what we have here is, obviously, these are the key tests that I believe, that I want to try and improve in. Mainly, I'm just looking at these three here at the moment for the hypertrophy phase, so my bench, my squat, and my deadlift. I think these are actually probably already higher. It's been a very long time since I've done my 1 rep max test, but after these 5 weeks, I'll redo these and I'll see what I'm at. So obviously, each day I'm going to start with a warm up. Now, the warm up just depends on what it is that I'm working that day. So obviously, chest and triceps. Start with the rower, just get the heart rate going, and then getting some stretches for whatever muscle group it is that I'm working. This isn't really that important. Just obviously, would recommend warming up before every session, before going into your heavy lifts, because otherwise, it doesn't have to be long, but it just helps limit that sort of risk of injury. So plyometrics here as well. Don't have any plyometrics for my push day. So this is my push day. So don't have any plyometrics here. But these are the exercises that I'm doing. So I like to start off with a compound lift. I think compound lifts, you should probably start most sessions off with your compound lifts after your warm up. So I start off with the bench press. I'm going for low reps and low sets, to be honest, with this. So I'm going for three sets, 6 reps, and that's week 1, with an intensity of 0.85. And basically this calculates here, it calculates the weight that I should be putting on to work at that intensity. So I know that I have to put on 57.5 kg and do that for 6 reps. And obviously these ones below are the same sort of thing. They're calculating the reps that the load that I'm hitting. But for the isolated exercises, so for example, the tricep push down, the overhead extension, I want to get a lot more volume. So most of the time you'll see these have more sets than anything else. So here we have 4 sets of 10. So this is, again, quite an easy week. It's, we're going to slowly build up. The reason I've gone for push downs and overhead extensions is this targets all parts of the tricep. Just these 2 exercises is enough really for that. Incline cable fly, very good exercise for the upper chest and very highly recommended, especially with the cables. I just find it's like a more consistent weight when you have the cables. Then decline bench press for the lower pecs, and then upper pecs again, upper pecs and maybe a bit more triceps. We go for the close grip bench press. Now, as you can see, as we go along, each week is increasing intensity, so 0.5, 0.9, 0.95, 0.8, and 1, like I said. And the sets and reps slowly increase. So I have a thing over here which shows the total number of sets, total number of reps each week, and then the total number of reps altogether. So that just helps me track, making sure that I'm increasing progressively each week. Then for the back workout, again, warm up, make sure it's relevant to what I'm going to be doing. But again, start with a compound lift of pull-ups. I'm trying to increase the weight on this. I don't really have a 1 rep max on this, hence why there's no load here, because it's quite new to me doing pull-ups with weights. So at the moment, I'm just working on like 5 kg. Then I might go on to 7.5, 10, so on and so forth. But at the moment, I'm like 5 kg, and again, keeping the reps low. Same with the sets.
And then similar to the tricep thing, we have the concentration curls and incline dumbbell curls. Again, this targets both areas of your bicep. Sometimes I do these as a superset if I feel like I'm low on time. But if you have the time, I definitely wouldn't recommend doing it as a superset. I think it's better to split these up and maybe you superset it with something else. So if you were near a pec deck, you can do the reverse pec deck after you do concentration curls if that's what if you're running low on time. So that targets your rear delts, and then for the traps, I go for meadow rows. This is again something quite new to me. I would recommend using a strap for this exercise and for some other back exercises. That way, it's not your grip that's letting you down; it is just the fact that you're fatiguing your back. And then Omni Grip lat pull down. So basically, what I do is I do this as like a finisher at the end of a session. So go to the lat pull down. You start with a wide grip, then you do that to pretty much failure. So if here it's 8 reps, sorry. So you do that 8 reps, and then you come in and do 8 reps. So it takes the pressure off of the lats a little bit more, and then finally you go for underhand, and that puts more emphasis on the biceps, less on the lats. So you sort of you do this all at once. So the 3 sets kind of includes like 1 set there, 1 set, and then 1 set. I find that's just a good finisher. It's quite time efficient and it feels really good, to be honest, at the end of a session. And then finally, legs and shoulders. I don't actually have shoulder exercises put in yet. I'm unsure what I want to do in terms of shoulder exercises. But here you can see the plyometrics that I do as a warm up. So just vertical jumps. It's nothing too complex. Vertical jumps, drop jumps, rebound jumps are very, very simple, and I'll show you in a future video some examples of some good plyometric exercises to do. But again, starting with the compound lift of the squats, then I'm trying to work on a little bit more. I'm trying to make sure that I do some unilateral movements so that I can try and limit the amount of muscle imbalances that I have. So hence why we have Bulgarian split squat, and then we go single leg calf press, and then hamstring line leg curl. I also do this single leg, also one at a time. And then again, same with the quads. I do single leg extension. This way just helps limit the muscle imbalances, and it's going to prepare me for my season of football. And then finally, obviously for the glutes, hitting the barbell hip thrusts. This is also quite a new exercise. I still trying to get used to it and try and get that sort of like mind muscle connection. It takes a bit of time, I think, for each exercise for you to sort of really focus on what it is that you're trying to get out of it. But yeah, for sure, this is going to be quite a good exercise in the future. I'm already starting to feel it, and at the end of the session, it burns quite a lot. So yeah, this is kind of my plan at the moment. And again, each week progressively overloading, and this is where we're at. And I think for me at the moment, it's working really well. And after this finishes, after these 5 weeks, I also finish at work. So this is why I've only chosen to do this for 5 weeks. I think when I finish my work, I'm then going to go into a new phase. Maybe I'll stick with the hypertrophy phase, but I'm actually going to change my workouts to really try and push myself and try and push to the limits, because I have nothing else to focus on other than really my training. Because obviously I finish work, then all I've got to really do is some university work, and I can do a lot more training and focus on that a lot more.
So that's a training program. And finally, just in terms of my diet at the moment, I've just finished calculating my maintenance calories specifically for me. So I've done 2 weeks of tracking my weight and tracking my calories very specifically. So I know my exact maintenance. And what I'm basically putting myself at now is I think I'm going to go for this 5 weeks. I think I'm going to go for 10 to 20% of a surplus in terms of my calories per week. But once I finish these 5 weeks, I really want to try and see how much I can really push this and how far I can go with it. And so for my bulk, I think I'm going to go for even like a 30% increase. I don't want to go ridiculous and just start eating any food that I see in sight, like go for that dirty bulk style. I want to make sure that I'm still tracking, eating good foods, and just hitting maybe 30%. 30% might be a bit excessive. 20% is normally good for a bulk. But I'm going to try for 30%, and I'm going to be working really, really hard in the gym for sure, possibly doing a couple sessions a week. But it's something I need to look at carefully, because I want to make sure I don't overtrain. I want to push myself as hard as I can, but again, you need to make sure that you don't overtrain and end up causing injury, because that's just going to really harm your progress. So yeah, for my bulk at the moment, I'm going to go for like 10 to 20% of my maintenance, and I think that's going to be really effective for me. I hope. So yeah, the goal is going to be to see how much muscle mass we can gain. It feels kind of strange going from like shredding completely to now just like bulking. I've never really bulked. I never really liked the idea of it, but it's something I think is just going to help me in the long run, building up a lot more muscle size to then build off of and build for strength and then go into power. And I think it's going to be a lot more effective in the long run doing that. So if you enjoyed this video, again, I'm going to go into more specifics about, something that you can apply for yourself. But I think it helps hearing from other people what they're doing in terms of their training. There's no BS here. I'm telling you exactly what I'm doing. This is what I do. I'm not saying that every single session I follow that plan exactly. Sometimes I might do a little bit more. Sometimes I might do a little bit less. Obviously, it depends on how you feel during the day. But that is pretty much my plan, and I aim to stick to it as closely as possible. So hopefully the videos that I post in the future, you can take the information that you get from them and apply them to yourself, which is what I've been doing. I've been watching loads of videos, reading loads of research papers to try and make sure that the plans that I develop for myself are as efficient and as effective as possible, because I think the worst thing that you can do is waste time at the gym and waste time with your diet, because if you don't have both things going at the same time, then it can just really harm your progress and you can put you weeks and weeks behind. So, if you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and share it. I'm just starting out and I'm trying to improve as much as I can in terms of my video editing and how I go about these videos. It's something new to me, and obviously with all the other work that I'm doing alongside it, it's not something I can focus on a lot at the moment. So the editing style of stuff, I want to get it chopped together and get it uploaded. But as I finish my work and finish my university and get a bit more time, then maybe I'll start working on some editing and make it a little bit more digestible for the watchers. But anyway, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you later.